Hey guys, so the third episode of Riverdale aired last week, and there was so much that happened in that episode. I can't believe it. It's a very hard episode to watch because of all of the things going on. In this episode, they discuss slut shaming. You also have the issue with regards to race brought up in this. And I think one of the things that I really like with regards to this Riverdale is that it's very diverse in what is actually taking place, as well as with the cast that they have. And the really great thing is the racial issue is brought up in this drama, and I think it's brought up very well. I actually have a quote that I wrote down that Josie says to Archie, and I think it describes it so well, because as horrible as it sounds, racial discrimination still happens today, and it shouldn't. Why? It shouldn't be taking place, and unfortunately, it still is. And I think Josie touched on the topic extremely well with regards to the fact that rooms that Archie can just walk into, they have to claw their way into because they're an African American band. He is Caucasian. There's a huge difference in Riverdale, as in most towns, unfortunately, with regards to, looking first at what you look like rather than what you're capable of. The other thing that is touched on is the bullying factor of things. You have Chuck being a bit of a bully with how he intimidates, but you also have a lot of other people in these bully roles. You have Cheryl, who almost tries to bully the girls into forgetting about this and just moving on. And she kind of has to take a step back and change her perspective when she actually sees Jason's name in that book. And honestly, that shock changed how her character, I think, is going to be portrayed in the coming episodes, which I'm interested to see if she does actually change. Aside from a lot of different topics being covered, we did have introductions to two characters that you're more familiar with. Dilton Dolly got talked about in the first episode, but not really introduced into the whole talking part of it. And he was there. We find out the whole shocker that he shot the gun that everybody heard on the 4th of July. At the end of the episode, he goes and he mentions confessing to him in the blue and gold rather than going to the sheriff's office. I was just sitting there thinking, this is not going to turn out well. I know for a fact that it's going to get revealed that Archie and Ms. Grundy were together, or at least that Ms. Grundy was in the area. And what happens? That happens. And it's just one of those ones where you're like, the crap has hit the fan. Let's be honest, in this next episode, so much is going to happen. You also have Ethel, and I feel so bad that Ethel's character is one that had gone through this slut shaming that didn't happen, and it's so frustrating that would happen to her character because she is so sweet. And I've always loved Ethel as a character. I've always shipped her and Juggy because the two of them have just been they were adorable, okay? Juggy is in love with his hamburgers and she is in love with Jughead, and you just see the whole love triangle thing. Who knew that hamburgers could be a part of a love triangle? But it's true, they are. I would really like to see an Ethel and Jughead in the upcoming episodes. I'd like to see the two of them pair off, but I think with the changes that they've made, I don't think an Ethel-Jughead pairing is going to take place. I don't know if it's right for this direction that they're going with the story, but we'll see. So I do have a couple of questions that have sprung up in this episode. Why did Jason want to escape? Why did he have to go to the extent that he had to fake his own death just so that his parents wouldn't come after him? What exactly is going on in the Blossom household? Because you see Cheryl explain the whole situation, and her parents automatically state it's because she's a liar. And you're listening to this and you're just like, oh my word, how are you even related? No wonder Cheryl is as messed up as she is, because you look at her parents. I don't know who is more messed up, the Blossom parents in that little interaction we saw in this episode, or Alice Cooper with regards to everything that she does. I feel like Alice Cooper is like this psychotic parent. Like, you watch her when she hands like the lipstick to Betty, and she's like, pink perfection, this is more you, and she's like wiped the red seduction, I think is what the lipstick was called, off of her lips. And what parent even does that? Like, I feel like Alice Cooper is the parent that creates a psycho killer. Like, there's so much psychological things going on in this series that I feel like I do get some answers, but I'm left with a million more in the background. Are you guys like that? Originally, when Chuck and Betty were going out, I was like, oh my word, they're adorable. I'm really excited to see where this goes. You know, seeing her maybe moving on to another person in the group rather than, you know, like a whole Archie, Betty, Veronica love triangle thing. And then that happened, and I was like, no, I'm not okay with this. I can't believe I thought that they were cute. And I instantly felt like this regret for even thinking that, because it was completely unexpected. Like, I had no idea where this episode was going to go. I'm trying not to watch any of the previews in between, like, week to week, just so that I'm going in completely blind to the episode. And I think that's really good. I'm really enjoying that. But I was completely taken off guard by this sticky maple scene, and it's just so sad that it happened. And I felt for Veronica, but seeing how Veronica went, it just, wow. And then, you know, anytime something happens with regards to Polly, like, Betty just instantly goes into like this different mode. Like, she becomes this alternate person, and that's literally what happens when they're in Ethel's pool and hot tub. You see her come out in a black wig, and she's like, oh, Betty couldn't make it, she sent me instead. I'm getting a little bit of a feel of a split personality thing with Betty. So anybody else getting that, really? Because I feel like I'm the only one watching this series, but I know I'm not. Like, there has to be more people watching it. But I'm getting like a split personality kind of disorder with Betty, because at times, like, she feels very disconnected. She feels like she's a different person. She's a million miles away. Her personality doesn't match how she is, like, and I think it's also because of how her mom is in general. We have Betty reopening the blue and gold newspaper, and she invited Jughead, and I just thought, this is perfect. This is going to kind of lead to where Jughead's, you know, interaction with the story is just going to blow up, I feel like, because he is the narrator of the story, and Betty does want him to be writing about what's going on with all of this. I think it's going to open up a whole new slew of doors and information and everything. The interaction between Josie and Archie, I think, is one that's really interesting. It was so honest, and I think it just did this whole viewpoint change. I really enjoyed seeing that situation where Josie is informing him of what's always done to them, and for that reason not allowing him to be included, and then seeing that what she was doing was the same as what was being done to them and allowing him to share more. That was so beautiful. The scene where Betty goes and kind of tortures Chuck a little bit and refers to herself as Polly and him as Jason. You see Ethel opening the door, and, you know, you see Betty kind of taking it too far. What was going on with Ethel? Like, did she kind of have something, like, leading towards this taking place? Was the situation because Betty was so upset with Polly? Or has something happened to Betty that she's just not actually coming out stating, this happened to me? And that actually leads into the whole ending of the episode where Coach Clayton is forced to kick his son, as well as his son's goon squad, as they're called, off of the team in order to save his job. And you hear Jughead's voiceover stating that they weren't aware of the terrible consequences this was going to cause in the coming weeks. So there's more that's going to come of this, and I like that they're still giving tidbits and foreshadowing and all of that, because it does allow you to see a lot more into this world, and the foreshadowing is done very well to make you want to continue watching and seeing what's taking place. I like that Fred actually listens to Archie. He's a parent that does want to have this interaction with his son. You know, Archie says to him, don't you think it's a little double standard? Like, you understand football, so if I had a football game, you'd be fine with me going to that. But music, you don't understand, so you don't even care if it's happening or, you know, what's affecting me with that if I had something I wanted to go to with that. So Mr. Andrews then goes and talks to Miss Grundy, and you guys can tell I really don't like her character at all. He goes and he actually finds out information before he goes and supports Archie. Like, yes, he's still going to be his father and he's still going to keep him grounded, but he's actually opening up to Archie about the fact that he is wanting to be supportive of him and have this open relationship with his son, and he's building a soundproofed garage for him to be able to practice. And it's so good to see this support system for Archie in this crazy situation. Also, did anybody else think, when exactly did Mrs. Andrews leave? I think he said that they'd gotten divorced a couple years before the beginning of this series. So I'm trying to figure out if the reason why Archie is having a relationship with Ms. Grundy, it's because of the fact that she is like a mother figure to him. You know, the typical psychology statement. So I'm curious to find out which it is. And also if Mrs. Andrews is going to come into the scene and the whole thing is going to blow up in Ms. Grundy's face, because Mrs. Andrews is going to know something's going on between them, and it's just going to be like, full out war. So that could happen too. Alice Cooper. Remember I said I feel like she's a psychotic character? She is also a troublemaker character, and she totally deserved that slap, and I'm so sorry to say this, but her character so deserved that slap in the episode from Mrs. Blossom. And you do live in a small town, woman. You know exactly what you're doing. I really enjoyed the fact that I believe Veronica referred to Ethel as, "You're the bravest of us all." The final thing that I wanted to mention is the 75th Jubilee for Riverdale. That Taste of Riverdale event that took place in the episode. Was that referencing the 75th anniversary for the Archie comics? Let me know in the comments down below what you guys saw in the episode that you really liked. What did you think was really hard to watch? For me, I think it was definitely the slut shaming. That's a very hard topic, I think, for them to have addressed, and the fact that they put slut shaming and racial issues in the same episode, and they were able to keep them separate, but both of them held this strong stand. I think it was just done so well and so honest and gritty that I think anybody who watched it would have definitely been very supportive of what they did. I think, you know, for a TV show in just the first few episodes to be willing to hit really rough, hard topics that not a lot of people want to talk about, I think that just goes to show that this is definitely a different series than what you maybe were expecting, and that they're not afraid to definitely say what they need to say in an episode. Guilt, innocence, good, evil, life, death. As the shadows around Riverdale deepened, the lines that separated these polar opposites blurred and distorted. Jason's death changed Riverdale. People don't want to admit that, but it's true. We all feel it. Nothing this bad was ever supposed to happen here, but it did, and I want to know why. I don't follow the rules, I make them, and when necessary, I break them. You want to help me get revenge on Chuck, Betty? Awesome. You better be ready to go full dark, no stars. Proof or no proof, book or no book, I'm going scorched earth on these privileged, miserable miscreants. You want to get caught in that backdraft, Cheryl? Call me or any one of these beautiful, strong, intelligent women slut one more time. A B&D with B&V. Hermione Lodge. Park Avenue Princess to Cater Waiter. Alice Cooper. No longer lactose intolerant, I see. I will see you in my next video. Bye!